Fishing used to be an activity that every player did within Red Dead Online. Going all the way back to the release of Red Dead, you were able to hunt animals, chuck animals down, and this was called carcass fishing, because as soon as you put it in a shallow bit of water, fish would swim towards it. Rockstar eventually patched that, but there were still very good fishing spots, and players used to go to these locations because all you needed to do was get a fishing rod which cost $32.50, and when you're able to find fish that go for $1, $2, going all the way up to $8 every minute, it meant that you was able to make profit on that fishing rod in no time. Fishing is still very profitable for the amount of money that you have to put in, but when you compare it to other roles like the collector, it doesn't make near as much money. But fishing can still be a fun activity to do. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite locations just to hang out and do some fishing within Red Dead Online. Before I get into the video, I am streaming every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. If you do want to be a part of that, there is a link in the description down below. Head over to there, drop a follow, and you'll be notified the next time I go live. I'm doing a number of things over there to do with Red Dead, playing through the story, trying to get 100%. I'm also helping out some of you guys so you can achieve your goals for money and gold, and I'm also starting to get back into my own personal grind, maybe even start to push to $200,000 within this game. So if any of that interests you, as said, there is a link in the description down below. Getting back into the video, the first thing to point out is that you want to buy a fishing rod. You can buy this from the general store and it does cost $32.50. The other thing that I would recommend doing just to make life a bit easier is going into your settings, go to controls and go all the way down to the bottom and change hold to reel and turn it on. By default it should be turned off, and this means that you'll have to use your analog to rotate round in circles to reel a fish in. As soon as you turn this on, it means from this point onwards, to reel a fish in you need to hold square or X depending on what console you're on. This just makes life a lot easier, but this is just preference. It is entirely up to you. Now that that's sorted, the first location I would like to point out is between Blackwater and Thieves Landing at this point here. In previous videos I have pointed out that the Great Plains is my favorite place to hunt with the amount of animals that you can get. I've always talked about the cougar locations, the bison that you can find here, the elks that can be found along the trees of tall trees and the Great Plains, the amount of grizzlies and black bears that just wander across this area. But it's also very nice for fishing, because at this location that I've just pointed out, you can find steelhead trout, and steelhead trout go for $2.50. It's not the fish that sells for the most, but when we're looking at small to medium fish that are very easy to reel in, they sell for the most. The fish that are more expensive than this are the fish that are a lot larger and a lot harder for you to reel in. In this location as well, you can find bluegill that go for 75 cents, you can find rock bass that go for $1, and you can also find redfin pickerel which also go for $1. Another very nice positive about this location is that you do have Blackwater just round the corner, and inside Blackwater you do have a butcher. So when you have finished fishing in this area, just head down there, literally a minute's ride, and you can sell everything that you managed to catch. Because there will be no large fish that spawn in this location, it means you do not have to worry about whether or not you have enough space on your horse, or if you have enough space in the back of your hunting wagon, because this is only small fish, so this can all be stored in your satchel. And most of the time there is enough steelhead trout here for you to get a full satchel of 10 fish, meaning that you'll be able to get $25. A negative about this location is also because it is in the Great Plains and it is just outside Blackwater. What I mean by that is because it's right at the center of this game, it means you're going to have other players around, and it's entirely up to them whether or not they're going to grief you whilst you're trying to fish. The second location I would like to point out is the other side of Blackwater at this location here. This used to be another very popular location back when carcass fishing was a thing. As said at the beginning, you used to be able to find a deer carcass and you can lay it down in this shallow water. What would happen is fish would spawn in, they will be attracted to the carcass and swim towards it, but because the water is deep enough for fish to spawn in but shallow enough that when fish swim towards the carcass, as they touch the ground they will just die, it meant that fish would swim towards the carcass, it will get too shallow, the fish will carry on swimming, and then as they touch the ground they will die, meaning that you can go around just picking up all the fish. Unfortunately you cannot do that as Rockstar have patched it, but the fish in this location are still good fish. You can find smallmouth bass which go for $2, you can find largemouth bass which go for $2, you can find find redfin pickerel which go for $1, you can find chain pickerel which goes for $1, you can find bluegill which go for 75 cents, and you can find rock bass that go for $1. What you're really looking out for is the smallmouth bass and also the largemouth bass, as they go for the most amount of money. These fish are also very easy to point out. Once you have your fishing rod selected in your hand, you can use eagle eye, and the smallmouth bass and the largemouth bass are easily spotted. They are the biggest fish there. So chuck your fishing line towards them and you will be able to catch these fish. And as a positive, just like the previous location, because it is just outside Blackwater, you can ride all the way back there within a minute and you can sell everything that you managed to catch. The next location is nowhere near Blackwater, but this is where things start to get a bit better if you're a higher ranked player. If you are a player that has managed to buy the hunting wagon, this is probably the location I would recommend for you. You want to go to this location just outside Valentine. At first, fish will not spawn in, but as you pull out your fishing rod, that is when all the fish will spawn in. At this location, you can get rock bass which go for $1, you can get bluegill that go for 75 cents, and you can get chain pickerel that go for $1. But you can get those fish in pretty much every other location. The reason you want to come to this location and the reason that you want to have a hunting wagon is because you can find northern pike. Northern pike are big fish and they can sell for $8 once you take them back to the butcher. The problem with them is that they are big fish, so it takes a lot longer to reel in, except for this location. And the reason for that is because this is where the Dakota River gets very thin. If you throw your fishing line in and manage to catch a northern pike, because the river is so thin, it means that northern pike that you manage to catch is already so close to you. So for a lot of the time, it will automatically do the cinematic of you pulling that fish out the water. There are some times when you do have to reel it in, but because this river is so thin, it does not require you to reel it in for that long. You're talking about a couple seconds max. It's not way out there in the distance, it's literally a couple feet away from you. You will easily be able to get 5 northern pike in this location if you spend 10-15 minutes fishing. You take those northern pikes, put them in the back of your hunting wagon, and then you ride all the way around to Valentine, which yet again is like a minute's ride away. You go to the butcher, you sell everything, and then you head all the way back to the location just to do the exact same thing again. If you're not in a position to buy a hunting wagon, you can just chuck a northern pike on the back of your horse, but it means you won't be taking 5 back at a time. It just means that you'll be taking 1 back at a time, and that is a lot of back and forth going with just your horse. A negative about this location is because it's just outside Valentine, chances are you will be griefed yet again. And that's what brings us to the final 2 locations, because in these locations it is very unlikely for you to be griefed. The first one is at Wynyard Strait, at this location right here. This is way above where most players will be, so no one should be crossing your path, and that also reduces the chance of you being griefed. This location is very similar to the Dakota River. Unfortunately, you cannot get the big fish like the northern pike, but because it is another location that is very thin, it means you don't have to spend as much time reeling the fish in. Here you can also find another very expensive fish for what is a medium-sized fish, and that is sockeye salmon, because those go for $2.50. You can also find perch here which go for $1, you can find chain pickerel which go for $1, you can find rock bass which go for $1, and you can also find bluegill which go for 75 cents. But the selling point is that sockeye salmon, and you will be able to find quite a few of them. Due to this being so far away from its closest town, which is Valentine, you will rarely ever come across another player, so that lowers the chances of you being griefed. But at the same time, that's also its negative, because it does lead to you having to travel a lot further just so you can get back to Valentine, so you can sell all of the fish that you managed to gather. The last location on my list is to the right of the Wapiti Indian Reservation. This is another location that is really far away from its closest town, so it's rare for you to come across another player, and that lowers the chances of you being griefed. So if you want a peaceful location without being griefed and still being able to get some good money, then this is a good location, because this is also a location where you can use your hunting wagon. you will find rock bass which go for $1, chain pickerel which go for $1, bluegill which go for 75 cents, and perch which go for $1. The reason you want the hunting wagon is because you can find a number of different muskies, and these fish go for $7.75. You will find a lot of them in this location because it is an open space, there's a lot of water about, and there's a lot of space for these fish to spawn in. You will easily get 5 muskies, and all of them can be chucked in the back of your hunting wagon. With the location just outside Valentine, I said you can chuck the northern pikes on the back of your horse, and because it is only a minute's ride to Valentine Butcher, it is still a decent method. With this location, because it is so far from the Valentine Butcher, I do highly recommend that you only do this if you have a hunting wagon. If not, you'll be going back and forth constantly, and that is where you'll probably spend most of your time, just traveling. Because this also isn't a thin river like the Wynyard Strait or the location that's just outside Valentine, this will result in you having to reel a lot of the fish in, and this takes a lot longer for you to reel in a muskie compared to reeling in a northern pike at the Valentine location. But as said, the selling point to this location is it is peaceful. You will not come across another player, so that lowers the chance of any players griefing you. But anyway guys, those are 5 of my favorite locations to fish within Red Dead Online. I'm curious about what you guys think. Do any of you fish at these locations? Or do you recommend other locations that I just haven't mentioned in this video? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you want any more content from me, I am streaming over on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. If you want to be a part of that, there is a link in the description down below. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going, so see ya.